Right, our last speaker for the day is Caroline Dawson, SUP Last Paddle Adventures. Caroline is a stand-up paddleboarding instructor and an adventure guide who runs her business on the edge of the Clwydyn Range AONB. She's passionate about all things nature and is a trustee for the Welsh D Partnership, the first female in history. Congratulations. Caroline will be speaking to us today about the ways in which she puts nature and sustainability at the forefront while delivering accessible and exciting tuition and experience on the water.
Right, let me get my head around these buttons. Thank you for welcoming me. I wasn't expecting at all to come and speak at this event, so yeah, quite an honour really. What I'd like to do is just share with you a little bit about my business. It's teeny tiny. I'm based in North East Wales. SUP Last Paddle Adventures. There is a whole reason behind the name, but I'm not going to go into that. But our whole aim of our business is making adventure accessible. So we started out our SUP Last paddleboarding business journey about 4 years ago. So originally paddleboarding was a hobby to me. And then we all knew on the back of lockdown, it all got a bit chaotic with paddleboarding. Everybody bought boards and people were starting to go out. So I saw an opportunity. So I turned my hobby then already into a business. So went and got some qualifications. But it bit me like quite a serious bug really. And I realised actually I could make adventures accessible and getting people really into the outdoors. So I went away, I began as an instructor and then kind of moved my way up the ranks, then became an adventure guide. I got qualified in all different environments. So I do river paddling, I'm a whitewater stand-up paddleboarder. So yeah, I was on the D on Saturday doing some grade 3 rapids. I've been known to paddle around the Great Orme, I've paddled around all of the Llŷn Peninsula. I've paddled very luckily all over. I was in Albania on the Vioso, one of the last free running rivers in Europe back in October. And I've paddled an awful lot as well over in Scandinavia. So what I found off the back of that was people want to do that too. So I started making these adventures, making these little trips, and it's just kind of gathered some natural momentum. One thing that kind of sits in my heart is, we mentioned earlier on today about paddling with purpose, whereas it's great that we're going into all of these different environments, we're offering all these great trips and adventures, but is there some good that we can do at the same time? So the first little bit I want to just talk to you about is my involvement with the Welsh D Trust, and they've got a little campaign, it shouldn't be in the D. So I've been involved with this campaign the last 2 years, and our aim has been very much about getting people onto the river and collecting litter. We've been all different parts of the river, from Chester right up to sort of Urberstock, and basically collecting vast amounts of litter, recording data, and being able to do some good really with our paddleboarding. So we've been able to get people out on the water with us. They've been able to see firsthand, some of the litter, some of the pollution, and they've, been sort of then inspired to go on and then do some of their own little litter picks. So it's been really great to be involved. Like Richard said earlier, I became a trustee of the Welsh D Trust almost 2 years ago now, and it's been a really great thing to be part of. We've helped, raise the profile among other groups that are not angling groups. We've managed to sort of engage with paddlers, other river users, and help raise the profile. But it's been really fascinating to see what enters the River Dee. We see everything from kind of, single-use plastics through to quite a lot of historical waste and a lot of agricultural waste. So we see lots of those kind of feed lick buckets that kind of make their way down. So our plan is to kind of continue that work and keep sort of sharing the goods of what we've done. And I know last year it was around 1,500 items of plastics that we removed from the river. So, that's us. And every one of these, we have people signing up, chomping at the bit. They want to kind of volunteer. So it's a great way that people can do good using their paddle boards. The next thing that I'm really keen about is sort of leave no trace. So leave no trace, it's quite big over in kind of America, Canada, lesser known over here. But I'm one of the few leave no trace trainers. I went up to Scotland actually, did a course, and we learned about the 7 principles of leave no trace. And all of my sessions, I try and share the good of leave no trace, and where we can we try and leave a positive trace, which is, you know, do we do some good in the area like removing litter or repairing some damage. So all of these kind of outdoor ethics, in a sense, we try and stitch into our paddleboarding sessions. It's really simple and really clear for people to understand, and I've got some lovely resources that I take with me. I've got some little waterproof cards, so when we're on session we can kind of look at things and kind of talk about what we see. This year in particular as well, I've been involved with the North Wales Wildlife Trust. So I went and undertook some training with them in Maes Havon and got issued, I think it was about 40 kits of the yellow kits. So I don't know if you've seen them, they're like invasive species kits. So any paddlers that have been coming to me, they've been taking away those kits. So in those kits, there's information about invasive species. There's some things that can help clean their boards, just generally give them some information about what they should be doing if they're moving between different water courses. The picture on the right is a crab that I murdered, a lovely mitten crab found on the River Dee. But again, knowing about invasive species and being able to share that information again with our clients. We've had conversations with fishermen. You know, it's a really good kind of talking point. And I know, you know, there's a lot of really good work being done on the Dee. You know, there's better signage. There's now areas in places like Llangollen where we can wash, you know, kayaks and boards and things. So being more aware of invasive species and their impact on the environment, you know, as paddlers, I feel is a good thing to do. We've also been involved more recently, and I know there's a couple of you in the room that came along to this, but dark skies, again, we've helped celebrate that. So the importance of dark skies. So we've brought that then into being on the water. We've been talking about like nocturnal species that live in the AONB, looking at the stars and pulling all of that together to create quite a unique experience where people have then gone away, they've learned about wildlife in their area, but also learned about you know, low impact lighting, for example, that they could implement in their own homes. So again, it's another bit of good that we've managed to sort of share a little bit wider. I'm probably one of the few people really that have got the WISE accreditation, well the few paddleboarding operators in the UK. So probably going back about 3 years ago, I undertook a course, and it's basically a wildlife safe operator. So it basically means I've attended a 2-day course. I've learned all about the wildlife interactions, and this is particularly relevant on the coast. So I do quite a lot of tours in the summer around the Great Orme. So I get to know the Great Orme really well, the wildlife we spot there, and I've seen some fantastic things. But for me, it's given me the knowledge and the skills to be able to pass on to my clients all about what they should be doing in those environments. And then I think the next level up is they do a master scheme. So after 3 years of being like a wildlife accredited operator, you can then upgrade then to the master scheme. But it's something I did in my own time. It costs very little money, but it kind of has, as a business, given us a little bit of a USP and enabled us really to learn about wildlife in different habitats. This was something I got involved a little bit earlier on. So I know we've spoken a lot, haven't we, about kind of pollution and water testing. Earlier this year, they had the longest set of water testing, I think, that's ever been carried out in the UK. And it was from the south of England right to almost like the border of Scotland, and it was called Race for Rivers. So I did a leg. I took a load of people that wanted a guide, so I kind of looked after them. And that was us really looking at water courses. We looked at kind of canals, rivers, lakes, and we were kind of identifying hotspots and areas. So I know my computer for a week had little pots of poo base. Well, it wasn't poo, but we were looking for like the E. coli stuff, just waiting for it to kind of change change colour. So yeah, Planet Patrol have been doing some really good work for the last few years. So it was great to kind of get invited and be involved with that. The other thing we try and do as well is, work with ethical brands and try and promote local food. So the kit we use for our business, what you tend to find with a lot of outdoor businesses, they'll sort of replenish kit on a yearly basis. What we've tried to do is invest in like really high quality kit, really try to sort of sweat it. So I've got kit that's like 3 years old, coming into their 4th season now, looking after things, trying to, get good value. We try and promote ethical brands. So the sunglasses, for example, they're from like recycled fishing nets. And again, like the food we try and cook, so we try and bring, local products again on our sessions. So it's trying to create that kind of circular economy with everything we do, and just trying to promote, as a business, the best we can. And then this is not North Wales, but I'm going to talk about it because the reason I signed up to do this, so in June, I'm paddling the Amazon, 334 kilometres of it, in Peru, and it's People, Purpose, Planet. But part of the reason I'm going over there is to deliver some workshops and looking at ecotourism. So we're going to go and try and run some workshops with some of the native people over there to see, are there sort of alternatives to some of the sort of the trades and activities they're involved with. So trying to share some of our good practices of what we've learned as a little business in terms of like linking things in, but sharing that information back. And that's it. That's me. That's SUP Last Paddle Adventures. Thank you for listening. As I say, we are only a very small business, but we try and sort of stitch everything, to do with sharing good through the core of what we do. So yeah, any questions? I've got a little stand outside, or feel free to pop on up. Yeah.